sharing there. So, Pete, this is right. You have no idea how much of an honour this is to speak to you, because I've been on this journey. For people who don't know, Pete has been an inspiration to me that he didn't know. I only met Pete first time, what, 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Mandy Holgate's book launch event in London. And I saw you were a speaker there. But I've been on my own business sort of 10 years. But I remember when you were on GMTV.
Yeah.
all those times ago. And you were talking about life coaching, and I remember there was two people I was watching on TV. It was you and Phil Gray, Dr. Phil Gray on Oprah. And you were talking about the kind of thing. So I, just want to put that out there that, you are someone that have inspired me for a number of years, and you're still in the game.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's that kind of whole maybe role reversal. Because when I started to understand what it is that you're doing, I was like, whoa. And I obviously have interviewed you. We did a podcast, which we've not actually released yet. And listening to you, what really inspired me is not just your inspiration, but also what inspired me was your knowledge. You obviously read a lot. And I think that's something that a lot of people, whether they're entrepreneurs, I mean, I believe we're all entrepreneurs. I believe there's a rebel inside all of us that does not want to do what we're told.
Yeah.
We were all once upon a time told to go and tidy our room, and I don't think anyone just would have gone, yes, I'll do it right now. That's the rebel in us was going, I'm not doing that, you know, and then your mum would say, you got to do it, no, not do it, until you eventually threatened.
Yeah.
You wait till your father comes home, and you'd go and do it. So the entrepreneur to me is someone who wants to do their own thing, live their own life, and you're one of only a few people I've ever met, actually, that it explained it in a way that I thought, wow. And the world needs the entrepreneurial people to wake up and go, you know what? I want to smash that box. I want to live my life the way I want to live it.
Yeah. And that's interesting you say that. Just for those people who don't may not be aware of it, but I talk about it a lot. And what you say about entrepreneurship in terms of thinking outside the box, being the rebel, being out there, is absolutely true. And my take, and when we met, is going back to my original take on what entrepreneurship is and how I viewed it. Because when I started my own business, it was like, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing this thing. I said, well, I don't feel like an entrepreneur. I haven't got the bank balance of Bill Gates or Richard Branson yet. And then I think, if that's what entrepreneurship is, why do people see this? And then I started researching the word, which comes from the French, that means undertake. But what I think really fascinated you is the original etymology of the word, the Sanskrit word, Athena Prina, that means inner motivation. And that's what I really believe, that if we approach our lives in that way, we can create anything we want. And that's, and you're a testament to it. The very fact that 10, 15 years ago you were doing this and you're still doing it and you're doing some great things. But listen, I really want to talk about what you're doing and what you're at. So for those few people that don't know about Pete Cohen, give me a brief synopsis of your background and what you are and what you do.
Okay, so basically I would classify myself as a chief inspirator, Mr. Inspirator. I realize that motivation just really doesn't work. People are only motivated to do the things they want to do. If people try to get themselves to motivate themselves to do the things they know that they should do, they'll probably do it for a maximum of, I've found, maybe 14, 15, 16 days. And then most people just go back to what they know. So I'm extremely passionate about helping people change. I've written 18 books on personal development, from things about breaking habits, conquering fears, weight loss. My background is in sports psychology. I was a sports psychologist at the Arsenal football team for 2 years, which was extremely difficult not because they're not very good, but no, it's not that. It's the fact that I don't support them. I worked with Ronnie for 2 years. I'm an international speaker. I speak all over the world for corporations, looking to get people to. I just believe that human beings have so much potential. I really, really do. And I suppose the older I get, I think I'm still frustrated by people not realizing it, but I'm seeing more and more people right now getting rid of what they don't need and finding the support of like-minded people and living a life. Because you and I know, because I think you and I are on very similar missions right now. doing something with that money in terms of giving it back and doing something with it. And the ones who aren't very happy have just got a massive bank balance.
And do you know what? You're so right on those things. Just really quickly, we've had a few comments that the sound is not great. The volume here is okay. Can I just have some thumbs and hearts from people just to let me know that you can hear both myself and Pete? Just give me some thumbs and hearts for those who are looking at this now. Sound has disappeared, not sure why, because on here the sounds look good. I can hear Pete perfectly well. We'll carry on until people say there's a problem. So
shall I undo that?
No, I think you're good. No. I think you're really good, Pete. I think you're fine.
Okay, no worries.
I think there's just give us some thumbs and hearts, a little comment. Michelle, I know you're online. If you could just let us know whether the sound is good. So it's really interesting you say your background's in sports psychology and you did that work, and my background's in sports psychology, and I admire the fact that you work, but you don't just work with sports people. You work with anybody who's looking to be the best they can, and you're an inspiration for them. Is that
yeah?
That's
yeah.
The work
So
you do.
it's you again, because we've both read this book called, which many people have read, Think and Grow Rich, and one of the key principles in that book is your definiteness of purpose, knowing what you're here to do. Someone helped me not long ago. It's a guy called Tim Dingle, fascinating guy, and he said, look, you should define what you do in 8 words, 11 words maximum.
Oh, wow.
And then come up with 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and 1 minute of being able to explain to people what you do. So it was quite tough, because when you're good at what you do, or really good, maybe I should say, it's quite hard to define it. It's like someone's a lawyer. You know, if you say I'm a lawyer, does that really define what you do? If you're a personal trainer and you say well, how many personal trainers out there? For me, my 11 words is to inspire people to be better than their best every single day. So that's what I do. And I want to offer massive value. And I've been doing that for a long time. That's another thing I read in Think and Grow Rich. Offer massive value, go the extra mile. So for the last 20 months, every day at 7 o'clock, I go live on Facebook, Facebook Live. Before Facebook, it was on Periscope. Every day, delivering content to inspire people, because I believe if we don't create our day, if we don't take steps to create our day, we just go into reacting mode. We end up behaving in ways that we don't want to. We give in to temptation. Our willpower comes down. So I'm on a mission to inspire 100 million people around the world to feel good about themselves and to leave a footprint of happiness and success and joy and make a difference. It sounds maybe altruistic, but you know what? I don't really care what anyone else thinks, but that's what gets me up at 4 in the morning every day, going to work, learning, developing my skills, because I want to be the best that I can be.
Is that what so your ritual is 4 o'clock every morning, 4 a.m. you're out of bed?
4 a.m. It was pretty tough this morning. Right. My alarm is on the other side of the room, so I got to get up and turn it off, because otherwise, my wife, she's lying next to me, so Get up, go downstairs, I journal. So I write in my journal, and I must admit, detail is a bit of a challenge to me. I'm a bit of a big picture person. Yeah. But I know it helps a lot. I drink a glass of water. I do some yoga. I learn or listen to something, a book or something, and I make notes. And then I'm really lucky at 7, I can then go and teach. I'm so fortunate. People say, do you ever get bored of doing it? Of course not. What a privileged position that people will listen to me. I need to be my best for those people, but also, this is really fascinating, I believe, is that if people want the best out of their life and they're coming to someone like me, then I have to be the best that I can be, and again, it's not always easy, but we live in a society that really does not embrace mastery at all. I spoke this morning, in Kill Bill, when Uma Thurman gets trained by that master, like get on top of a sword and do all of these things. Well, how did he do that? Years and years of practice and discipline, day in, day out. And we all want this quantum leap. We want everything instant. Instant banking, instant coffee, instant. And even though we get more and more frustrated with the instant things, there's no shortcut to success. People want it and say, it's hard work, it's dedication, it's passion.
You mentioned the word mastery. A lot of people use that word flippantly. They use it quite flippantly in terms of, I've done X amount, so I'm a master. What's your definition of mastery? And do people really understand it? And do they understand what it takes to get there?
Well, as a child, one of the things I was really fascinated by was Bruce Lee. I don't know why. I think because I watched Enter the Dragon, and you watch this martial artist, and you realize this guy's got a serious load of skills, and then with mastery, you realize that you never master anything. You're always, a chef is never a master chef, even though he might call himself that. He knows he's got to continuously evolve, because every day you can't stand still. Motion is happening. So to say when anyone tells me they're a master of anything, in the back of my mind, I kind of laugh. Say, well, what does that mean? Does that mean you know everything?
Yeah.
You never know anything about everything.
It's like when someone maybe calls them
about everything.
It's like when someone maybe call themselves a guru. Well, if someone else does that, then fine. But
it's interesting because I'll tell you a story about that. So I do a lot of work in the weight loss world, and the guy who was doing all my web stuff, he said, I found a domain name for you, weightlossguru.com. I thought, well, I'm not a guru. I thought of gurus as Indian gods, gurus.
Yeah.
And then we talked about it, and he thought, well, that's actually not a bad name. And then we thought of an acronym for guru, which is give you the results you want. And I thought, well, if that's our interpretation of a guru, I can give you the results you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to get them. And I do feel for people, because we're sold this, everything can happen right now, just flick a switch and your success is there. But the fulfillment and the joy you get from working on something for a long period of time is incredible. It might look boring. Success can look boring to people, but when you back off and you look at all of that work, what an achievement!
No, I get that.
What an achievement!
I get in the work that you've been doing. You've been doing it at least 10, 15 years, because I've known you doing it then. Do you see patterns in people's behaviour? What prevents them performing as they should or could do in their world, and they come up with same reasons, excuses why they can't be who they want to be or achieve the kind of. Do you see patterns in people? Yeah.
I mean, one of the logos that we've used a lot is this whole duck thing. Dr. Stephen Peters calls it the chimp. It's that voice in your head, and a lot of people think that voice is actually negative. I actually believe underneath, the story of the golden Buddha, that there's this Buddha somewhere in Thailand, and the Portuguese came through, and the people in this monastery, they covered this golden Buddha with clay, and it was left for hundreds of years. People forgot about it. It was covered in clay, and then a few hundred years later, some rain came through into the monastery, and the mud kind of melted, and then they saw the gold. I personally think that's the same for all of us. The duck in your head is only really trying to help you. It's a part of the brain called it's a part of the brain that literally doesn't want you to do anything you don't normally do. It just doesn't want it. It wants you to hold on to what you know, because that's why we're still here. We fear things we don't know. If I ask you to do something that you've never done before, immediately you're
so the inner voice is really a protective mechanism from you being hurt, and until you sort of reach another level of a comfort zone, the voices will remain the same. But as soon as you expand your comfort zone, different voices will start trying to protect you, but they'll be from a higher plane. Is that what you're...
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's that whole thing of, when people talk about, loving kindness, I thought for years, what does that mean? It sounds like a brilliant idea, but what does that mean? Self-acceptance, what does that mean?
Yeah.
For me, it just means loving every part of yourself, loving the fact that there's a part of you that is trying to hold you back, but it's not really trying to hold you back. It just doesn't want you to look stupid, because, we live in a world where there's so much social comparison. So for me, the duck in your head is literally, if you could take the duck out of your head, it sounds crazy, but become aware of what you're saying to yourself, you start to realize, hang on, that's not actually true, what you're saying to me. And you start to realize, this is what my coach told me years ago, if you can back off and look down at yourself, you realize you have an infinite amount of choices. That we're so caught up in this world.
Just out of interest, why duck? Why duck as opposed to any other? Is it just...
I don't know. I think maybe because a duck, quacks.
Quack, 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 quack. Right, yeah.
And, you're laughing there, which again, we know, even the Buddha, you can see with all pictures of the Buddha, he had a half smile.
Yeah.
He realized it's our biggest weapon. Our biggest weapon, I believe, is a desire to change. There's no question. A desire to want more, but also a desire to see the world with a slight smile on your face. actually, you just said something there that really triggered something in me, which is someone. I was listening to someone the other day, and they said, "What's the first two words that you heard as a child, or you said?" First one was no, and the second one was mine.
Mine.
So no, mine. It's mine.
Okay.
It's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah.
So we kind of learn to be selfish.
Yeah.
Because we're frightened that there's not going to be enough pie for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right, because it's like, the kids, naturally they want to keep their sweets. There's a very few have this internal empathy of sharing. Sharing means more, and you're right. We're in this world whereby you've got to take everything you can yourself, and then once you're okay, then you will look after the world. Whereas what I'm finding, the more you share, like you're saying, the more you share, the more you give, the more you will get. And it might not come.
That to me, that was one of the unique things about you. I just immediately felt, and it felt a bit odd. Oh my God, I've just found someone who just wants to share. This is a bit strange. That's how I felt, because I still don't know that many people who are more concerned about what I can give you. What value can I provide you in your life? How can I serve you? And I think that I'm meeting more and more people like that, maybe because I'm becoming more and more like that. I think we do genuinely attract people. People say when you become aware of something, you start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
People start talking about Red Bull, and you guys, oh, there's Red Bull everywhere, because it's what's in your mind. So if you're aware of, I want to surround myself with powerful, like-minded people who just want to support me, then look what happens. Look what comes into your life, As Napoleon Hill said, you and I have been given this gift of being able to manifest, of think and grow rich, but we need to use it. You can't, there's no instant button,
Are you there? You're frozen. Are you? Oh, you're frozen a little bit. Hopefully, it'll come back soon. Connection. Hang on. Hopefully, the connection will come back in a moment. I'm losing you, Pete. Hang on, Pete. I'm losing you. The sound's all gone. Hang on, Pete. We might have to restart this broadcast. Sorry, guys.
And all of a sudden, I would still say this.
We lost you. I lost you for a minute there, Pete.
I can say it. Yeah, I know. I was just talking to myself.
Oh, right. Okay. So, I had a question, a really good question. It's gone now. What were you talking about? Oh, yes, that's right. Okay, personal development. That's what I'm going to talk about. What I was going to ask you is when you first started in this world in terms of personal development and coaching and training, it was very different 10, 15 years ago. And now there's everybody who wants to be a coach and a trainer, or the perception is that. And which is great, there's some really great people out there. What I want to get you, what's your take on the world? Because like you said, on this personal development world, and what's your take on how people are using it, and where it? Because I really believe it's fundamental in life skills. This should be the core of school's curriculum. It should be an afterthought. That's the reason I ran this event called Want to Be an Entrepreneur, which I'm running next week. And the reason I'm running it is to expose young adults to this way of thinking. And most of these events are in sort of central London. What's your take on the personal development world, and what more we can do from an education point of view and individuals? Did you get that? Did you hear me, Pete? Oh. Can you hear me, Pete?
I don't know whether you can hear me, but
I can just about hear you now. I can hear you now.
What you were just saying there about this whole personal development thing, I've got you now.
Yeah.
Like music. I don't know about you. I still listen to music from the 70s and the 80s. I still listen to Bob Marley. I still listen to people like Marvin Gaye, the classics. And it's still the personal development. A lot of people are still listening to Napoleon Hill, right? Even though that book was written in the 1920s. People are still listening to Anthony Robbins. Obviously, he's still alive and well. Then you've got people like Jim Rohn. People are still listening to these people because it's not new wisdom. They took the wisdom that already existed. That wisdom has been around since the beginning of time. People just work things out, and it's come through. And now it's coming through us. And now we have things like Facebook and ways that we can get this information out to people. So it's amazing to be able to share wisdom with people, because it doesn't take, I'm not saying it's easy to change, but it starts off with a choice.
Yeah.
It starts off with you know what, enough is enough. What do I need? You probably need something to work towards. You know, when we start talking about inspiration, for me, inspiration is because there's something that you want that's out there. You want it so much that you're going to get it, and nothing is going to stop you.
Yeah.
And it's more fulfilling when you know the thing that you want isn't just about you. That thing that you want is going to serve other people as well. That's, you know, holier than thou, more holy than thou. It's and then something happens. I don't know what happens, but if you're just after yourself and you don't like where you've been, and that was my life. I was driven away from where I was. I wasn't happy with who I was. I didn't like myself. I didn't have much confidence. I wanted to get away from there fast. You know, I wanted people to like me. I wanted them to appreciate me. And then it took me a long time to realize, whoa, hang on, what's really important here? You know, I'm 47 this year, right? So I want to leave this place in a better place than when I came here. And I feel a duty for you and I to come together. We only want one person to listen to this and one person to go, thank you. Yeah. That made a big difference. I'm ready. Yeah. I'm going to go and help someone else. Because the time is, you know, when people say the time is now. No, it's right now. It's now. Do something right now to make a difference.
I listened to your broadcast this morning, and you were talking about growth mindset, and you also talked about that you believe 99.9% people don't have one.
Yeah,
that's like wow. Because if you understand, you know, the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset, there's a lot of people who just, you know, Groundhog Day for the rest of their life.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that, because I wanted people to, you know, to go, really, you know, maybe that was a pretty high statistic, but in 1937, when Think and Grow Rich came out, Napoleon Hill said only 2% of people, you know, they know where they're going, they know what they want. And I'm thinking, really? But I thought, yeah, I didn't. I just knew what I didn't want. So to me, that's a very fixed mindset. You know what you don't want. The growth is you know what you want. So, yeah, I do think most people, and it's almost like a lot of people are frightened to dream. You know, what do I want to create? And then they think, well, how can I create that? I don't have it now. Well, look around you. Look at the dreamers around us and who have created things, you know. But they dream the dream in many cases. Actually, you know what? They didn't always dream the dream. Because sometimes people love what they do so much that good fortune just comes. But I think for a lot of people, if you can get your head around... I just bought one of these things and I haven't set it up yet. You know those things you used to get as a child? They're red things and have a little disc in them, and you turn it around and you see...
Yeah, kaleidoscope type things, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just bought one, but you've got to use your phone for it. I haven't
VR.
worked out yet.
Right, the VR thing, yeah.
When you looked in these things, you could see in 3D. I remember Thunderbirds and seeing it inside and seeing things in colour. I just got one of those because I want people to look at these and go, well, you see that? Can you see your future in the same way that you see this? Because if you do, wow. You know, you're giving your brain something to go, oh, I can see that. What do we have to do today? Yeah. What do we have to do today? If I could show you £1 million in a warehouse somewhere and say, this is yours, you can see it, it's got your name on it. You say, wow, okay, tell me what I have to do to get it. And I told you what you had to do every single day. And one of those things was knock on my door at 7 a.m. in the morning. Would you do it?
Of course you would.
Yes.
So that comes back to the reason. The reason, if the reason's big enough, you'll do it. The only reason you don't do certain things, you know, I'm going to confess something to you, Pete, right? I got in a habit of waking up really early, 5 o'clock, right? It slipped to 6 o'clock. And that, for about 4 or 5 months. And the last couple of weeks, for various reasons, it's 7 o'clock. And I come up with all these reasons and excuses. But listening to you, I'm thinking, Beju, what are you doing? Because there is, you know, it's when I was getting up at 5:30, 6, I was doing some reading, then I was going to the gym, coming back, and by 7 o'clock, I'd have done the gym, done some reading, done my juicing, and ready to go. And it's and listening to you about 4 o'clock, that has inspired me to think, do you know what? And I've got an early morning meeting tomorrow, so I gave myself the excuse of waking up a little bit later, so I'll go to the meeting and not. But no, do you know what? Sod that.
So yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because again, being able to impart wisdom, it's fascinating because our forefathers, they didn't have the luxury in many cases to live the life that we do. Central heating, phones, things coming to you.
Yeah.
So they were uncomfortable, and they just got used to being uncomfortable. Most of us are just not uncomfortable enough. We get comfortable, and I was reading about this morning. It's really ironic that you say this. Let's say someone fails in life and they think, I don't want to fail. So they go from failure to a point where they've moved so far away from it. But then they just often give up. Yeah. They've created something. You say, hang on. All you've got to do is carry on doing that for a bit longer, and then breakthroughs happen. I've seen this with so many people, and I'll give you another example. Of all the athletes I ever worked with, I only had one athlete, who ever called me up and said, Pete, you know what? Things are going so well. Can I come and see you? Because I want to explore getting better. They only called me when they had a problem. They never, and it's just fascinating, isn't it?
It is, because it's really, and that's like in life as well. We search out people, whether it's coaches like us or therapists or hypnotherapists, when there's something to fix, as opposed to, I'm on this wave, I want to stay here. Give me the tools, give me the things, I need to stay here. Like there's a famous, you probably know this story about Jim Courier. Jim Courier, when he was at top of the tennis player, right? His coach was his psychologist, if you like. And he said, all I needed him to be is, if I knew he was in the stadium or the court when I was playing, I was fine. And there was a couple of games where he wasn't there and his game fell apart. He said, my coach didn't actually say anything to me or do anything out of the ordinary, but knowing he was there gave me the confidence to be who I needed to be.
Yeah.
And it's sustaining that. And there's a great example of Andre Agassi going to Tony Robbins. But you're right, if people, when they're on top of their game, they think, "Oh, I'm okay. It's great. Let's just carry on," and don't get that support. And it's quite sad, if you like.
But when you truly love what you do, you just keep doing it. And.
But do you think just for those people who are listening to this, thinking, do you know what, I love what I do, or there's things I love what I do, but I still fall off the wagon, so to speak, and they find it maybe harder to get back. So do you still need that support system? Whether it's one person or a mastermind group or a group, even though you are so focused?
I think that because our reality is in here, inside our head, I think often we need help in making sense of what we're thinking and doing. I personally believe everybody needs coaching, everyone needs support in some way.
Yeah.
But you said something before, and I like to liken it to a scale. If you think of a scale between 0, plus 10, and minus 10.
Right, yeah.
Plus 10 is like, super health, super well-being, super optimistic. And minus 10 is, I don't know.
You died.
Clinically depressed, suicidal.
Yeah.
And then we have, if you're not well, like at that end, most people go to the doctor, then there's some form of intervention, which is some form of pill, maybe it's some form of talking, maybe they get a bit better, they go from a minus 10 to a minus 3. But what about those of us that are on the 0, the 1, the 2, the 3, and that want to go to that end? If you want that, if you want to find out how amazing you can be and what you're capable of, it's work. It's complete dedication. And look at one of the oldest stories in the history of man. It's Adam and Eve. And what's that all about? Don't eat fruit from the forbidden tree. Don't give in to temptation. Well, what did they do? They gave in to temptation. So if you give in to temptation, well, look, okay, enjoy it, whatever it is. There's more temptation now than there's ever been. There's more stimulation than there's ever been. If you want to get stimulated, great. Just enjoy it. Don't beat yourself up about it, but just recognize there's a part of you that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've got this completely wrong. I don't know.
I think you're on the right path. I think also where the challenge is not that they succumb to temptation, which is a challenge in its own right, but then they complain about what they don't have. You can't have it both ways. You can't succumb to temptation and have these things, and then on the next breath say, "Oh, why has that person got all that? or I want a bit of that, or I want this. But hang on, you haven't either done the work or put the investment in, whatever it is, time, money, resources, reading, to get the thing. Because what we don't see is the work behind the success. Yeah. What you see is the shiny object shining in your face. Wow, look at them. They've got all this adulation. They've got all this money. They've got all this success. But what we don't see is the 15 years before they've been going through the mud.
Yeah, what they don't see, again, I was talking about this morning, they don't see what that person was doing when no one was watching.
That's it. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And it's what you do when I'm up at 4 o'clock and no one's watching me, writing stuff down, making notes. No one's watching me doing my meditation. No one's watching me doing my yoga. I'm not doing it to tell everyone how great I am. I'm doing it because I need to do it. You know? That's just what I know what I need. You know, maybe it changes from day to day. Listen, everyone has this potential. And it can come out, it can be coaxed out by being around other people. And that's one of the great things that we have created with this whole My 365. We have a whole load of people who just want other people to succeed rather than I don't want you to succeed because I'll feel bad because I haven't got what you're doing.
Yeah. Can I ask you, before we move on to the impact questions I'm going to ask you in a moment, is you said that 20 months ago you decided, you know, you're going to wake up 4 o'clock, you're going to do these rituals, journal, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What was happening 21 months ago?
Well, you know, a great thing because I started my weight loss program years ago, and we had hundreds of people that used to have blogs, write things. We had some people that wrote 500 times over a number of years. I used to read all of those. I used to make a lot of videos. I used to do 60-day, 90-day challenges where I'd make a video every single day. So it was all training to get up to this point. I didn't realize that at the time. To get better in front of the camera, get better at learning, to then go, right, now I'm ready. I'm in training. And I always believe there's another level, there's another level, there's another level. But in order to reach those levels, you're going to be challenged. And I'm getting better at dealing with the challenges that are thrown at me. The bigger the dream, I believe, the bigger the cost you're going to have to pay for it, and the bigger the challenge. But the biggest relief when you start to realize, look, if a plant is growing or a flower, you can't pull it up. You can't say, come on, grow faster. You go and watch a film for a couple of hours and you watch Rocky or, you know, whatever the film is, or Alice in Wonderland, and you look at the hero in the film, you identify with that hero because it's pulling on you. You know that there's a part of you, but the thing is, your life isn't 2 hours. Your life is a lot longer than that. So,
it is a lot longer. Fascinating. Right. Now, I want to move on to these impact questions. These impact questions, I'm going to bring up these questions now so I don't forget them. These impact questions are questions that go sort of beyond the surface of what we're talking about. And I've asked everybody who comes on the show these questions. So there's a consistency in terms of this. And there's a pattern I've seen, so it'd be interesting to see what your answers are. So question number one, Pete, who is your hero?
Michael Jordan.
Go on. Explain for those.
Michael Jordan, basketball player. Some people say one of the greatest sportsmen of all time. I just remember I didn't even like basketball. I was at university. It was on Channel 4, the basketball, and I watched this guy. And the commentator said, "Oh, Michael Jordan is not feeling very well. He's got a temperature. He's got a bad back." And he still went out and shot, I don't know, half of the team's points. And I was watching this going, how? So I just became fascinated with him to the point where I normally am wearing something on my body Jordan-like. You know, he said this. You know, there's an advert. You can Google it. Just type in Jordan failure Nike. And he says, you know, I've failed 9,000 times in my career. Yeah. I've failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. So, and he's cool. You know, he's a cool guy. So
cool, great. Same question. What book do you think all entrepreneurs need to read, apart from the 18 you've written?
There's only one book, and I don't care what anyone else says. Don't read The Secret until you've read Think and Grow Rich 10 times. Okay. Buy Think and Grow Rich. At the front of the book, write something you want, then read the book and underline the bits in the book that relate to what you want, and your dreams will come true.
Fantastic. And just out of interest, what's the last book you've written?
Mindset by, I'm not even sure who it's by, to be honest, and Legacy, which is about the New Zealand rugby team. Okay. But I pick up Think, it's one of my rituals every day. I pick up Think and Grow Rich and just open it to a page, right, and then read one page and then make some notes based on what I'm reading. Right. Okay. It's just another ritual of mine.
Okay, cool. Pete, whose work do you admire?
That's a good question. You know, actually, I actually really do admire the work that you're doing. I really do. I've looked at it, and I see that you're on a mission, and I know that you need. It's not that you need. It's not that you need help. I think you just need some more like-minded people. Because actually, if I'm being honest, I was going to say someone like Tony Robbins, but everyone knows who he is. I think a lot of people know who you are. You admire me because of your story, how you were doing something that wasn't pulling all your heartstrings. You left it. You got your hands dirty, and now you're on a big mission. And I really do admire that, and I would love to help you and support you in any way that I can.
Wow, I'm really touched by that, because it's not because I want this sort of big accolation. It's like you have this visionary thing, and the fact that someone can recognise that means everything, because obviously it's landing somewhere. So I
see it in all of your videos. I see it in everything you do. You're on a mission, which is let's make this world a better place. You know what you were talking before? I believe also there's a business person inside all of us that wants to. Money is a fascinating thing. Money is not the root of all evil. Money is not doesn't grow. It doesn't necessarily grow on trees. But money is a symbol of what you can create. And I know that you could help, and you do, and you will help a lot of people accumulate wealth. And maybe with that wealth, we could build schools, we could build hospitals.
No, great.
Anything's possible.
Thank you so much, Peter. I really, really appreciate that. What is the one thing that will change the way people live their lives?
It's basically a technique. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's when you're inspired to do something, or when you have an impulse to do something that you know that you shouldn't do. You've got a 5-second window. 5 seconds. If you don't act in those 5 seconds, the inspiration will go. Hesitation, self-doubt comes in. With the impulse, if you don't act, you will act on the impulse. So if you're inspired to do something, like get out of bed, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Always count down. Or Thunderbirds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds, go. Get up and go. Because it's the activation energy that is needed to start. The hardest thing is to start. When you start, it's easier to get going. And then when you've got going, momentum kicks in many cases until it gets to the point where it's harder not to do it. I could not get up at that time in the morning because my brain would be going, you got to get up, especially if I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
At Thunderbirds, I'll go.
Yeah. And weekends as well?
No, it depends. It really depends.
Okay. You give yourself a little bit of break.
Definitely Monday to Friday. Depends what's going on. Monday to Friday, 4 o'clock.
Cool.
Non-negotiable.
Great.
9 in the same.
Pete, if you had a superpower, what would it be? Did you get that? Oh, we haven't lost you, have we?
I lost you again now.
All right. If you had a superpower... I
got you back.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I'd be tempted to say something like to be able to hit the golf ball straight.
Right. Okay.
But I'd get bored. You'd get bored. So if I had a superpower, it would be to make people see, to allow people to see what they could create. They could see a future where they would serve others. That'd be my superpower. To be able to give people so they could see, I could make the world a better place. They could see that, and then they'd go and do it. I've lost you again.
I know. I'll get you. It's a bit fuzzy. Let's get it. I'm sure the signal will come back good. I'm getting you. Can you hear me now?
Yes. So, did you hear my superpower?
I did. Yeah. To help people see their future.
But only a future where they're serving others.
I see.
Yes.
Fantastic. Great. Next question, Pete. What do you know to be true that many others disagree on?
What do I know to be true that other people, that we have far more capability to realise, that we could be slimmer, fitter, healthier, happier, more successful. That's the truth, And I tell you what else is true. Your misery should be your inspiration to do great things,
Great. I love that. I love that your misery should be your inspiration, because it's very easy to use misery and stay there.
Yeah.
Let's come out of that. Okay, good. So, yeah. what was the first experience in your life when you realised you had the power to do something meaningful?
Well, that's a really, really, really because I suppose it's only been recently. You know, I look back and you realise that the things that you've done, because for so long I did things because I wanted people to recognise me. So when you want people to recognise you, you don't often recognise what the hell you're doing. And I recognise that I make a huge difference because I'm genuinely interested and curious in people. You know, if I meet you, I want to learn from you. I want to, even though I might carry on talking because I'm too enthusiastic, but the more I realise the more I do that, that's the most impactful thing I could ever do for anybody. So I'm realising what I have is priceless. What I can give people, I can serve people.
Fantastic. So when was the first moment you realised? When was the first moment you realised that, actually, do you know what? I've got something meaningful to offer people.
When I was on stage with Paul McKenna and Roger Black at a speaking event, and we were running a course called Sports Success. And I'm thinking to myself, I was in my 20s, and these guys are, you know, household names. And I noticed that the audience were really paying attention to what I was saying. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting. I felt a bit self-conscious about it, but I realized that I just have something that often people resonate with.
That's great. Fantastic. What's the single biggest obstacle you have had to overcome?
Well, me personally, in my 20s, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue and ME, and that affected me for about 10 years. But 6 years ago, my wife was, you know, she wasn't given very long to live. You know, she was given 18 months 6 years ago. And I was brought up to believe there's an answer to everything, and it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's what my parents told me. And that helped me find a solution. But you know what? It was so hard and so difficult, but I couldn't even begin to tell you the amazing things that have come out of something so tragic.
Wow. And God, all's well now?
Yeah, absolutely.
She's
well? She's amazing. I've learned so much from her. And I fell in love with her through going through this experience because I got to really see what she was about. You know, like how you deal. I mean, life isn't always fair, right? I mean, people say life's not fair. Well, who said it should be fair?
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is, right? And but do we have the capability to shape it, to move it around? Yeah, we do. We really, really do.
Now, you're right. I talk about pivot a lot. You know, pivot every day. You've got to pivot and just allow it not to be so fixed in your way. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Very, very inspiring. Last two questions. What film would you say everyone should watch in their lifetime?
You know, I saw that question and I didn't think of an answer. You know, but I love films. You know, and there's so many. You know, Life is Beautiful is definitely one film. You know, the Italian film with the guy who's in a concentration camp with his son, and you see how he helps his son. His son doesn't realize what's going on because the father creates this different way of moving through this terrible experience. What other films? I don't know. There's so many. I love Star Wars. I watched that in 1977, and you know, but that was for me. I love watching Airplane. You know, I watched that 10 times. You know, we've got to get these people to a hospital. Yeah. What is it? Well, it's a tall building with lots of people inside, but that's not important right now.
Yeah.
And I just remember. So there's so many, but films are a great way. I love the Matrix. You know, when he showed the two pills. You know, which reality do you? But if there was one film, Rocky 3.
Why 3? Is that the one with James Brown, Apollo Creed, the Russian?
No, that's 4.
That's
Rocky
4. What's
3 is Mr. T.
Oh, I put Mr. T. Yeah, Apollo.
Because he's lost.
Yeah.
Clubber Lang.
Yeah, Clubber Lang.
The whole concept, that idea that he's lost his mojo, he's lost the eye of the tiger.
Yeah.
His coach has been trying to stop him from fighting those fights.
Yeah.
And he goes into the fight and he's not ready, but he goes through this horrible experience of, you know, Mickey dying, him losing. Then he gets Apollo to train him, and he gets that eye of the tiger back. And there's that bit in the second fight where Mr. T goes, "I'm going to bust you up." And Rocky goes, "Go for it." You know? So
I remember that. Yeah, do you know what? Thinking about it, I always remember Rocky 2, sorry. The bit at the end when he's running and the kids are following up to Philadelphia. I remember that scene, and the Rocky IV, where the Russian. I remember that, and the Clubber Lang one. Do you know what? I've watched that film, but you're right. That he loses everything, and he's on this commercial. He's world champion, and he takes his eye off the ball.
Yeah. Living in America, James Brown, got it all.
Yeah, and then that's the start of the fourth one. And then Clubber Lang, you're right. He comes off the street. Oh, I can do him, and he smashes him up. And then he realizes, you're right. It's a great metaphor for you can have everything. You take your eye off the ball, you lose your mojo. Hey, you've got to put the work in to get it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Last question. What do you want your legacy to be, Peter? Pete, sorry.
It's good that you called me Peter as well, because, my mum calls me Peter. I mean, it's my name,
Yeah.
So, but for my mum, I believe that my legacy should be part of her legacy, because she brought me into this world. So I want my legacy to be her legacy, which is leave this world in a better place than you came here.
Yeah.
I want people to remember me. I want people to remember me and smile. I want people to remember me and think he was funny. He made me laugh.
Yeah.
He made me think.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. Yeah. I want people to remember. Because you know what? People very rarely remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Remember that quote.
Books that make them laugh. Even on Spike Milligan's grave, it says, "See, told you I was ill."
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's great.
Leave them with a smile.
Yeah. Listen, this has been fantastic. Apart from the little interruptions we've had, that's the nature of Wi-Fi. We should be honoured that we can do a broadcast like that and not complain about those things.
Yes.
New world problems. But I really enjoyed this, and I'm really honoured in terms of some of the things you mentioned today about some of the work we've been doing. So I'm really, really thankful.
Well, if anyone wants to follow me, they're more than welcome. Just check me out on Facebook. Just Facebook my365 mi365.me. They can see what I'm doing. It's free, and I obviously look forward to continuing to work with you, sharing the stage with you.
I would look forward to that. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Absolutely. So you're just really quickly. Your 7 a.m. Is that on your normal timeline? Is it on a group? Where is it at?
So basically, it's free. If there's a free public Facebook, people can just find me on Facebook, Pete Cohen, or just Google Pete Cohen. Facebook Pete Cohen mi365, or just go to the website mi365.me.
So do you do that for your group or your personal timeline? The morning
personal timeline. It's on both.
Cool. Okay, cool. Great, fantastic, great. Listen, thank you so much, Pete, for being on the Global Impact Show. I know we had quite a few viewers, quite a few comments, lost the sound, but they'll be recording all this later on YouTube, and obviously you can see the recording on Facebook timeline later on. Any final comments?
No, just thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, Pete. Great. So thank you so much, guys, and we're offline now, and we'll see you soon the next time on the Global Impact Show. Take care.